Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kathy and today I'm going to be doing a Tip Tuesday video. It's been a while since I've done one of these and I've been wanting to do this one in particular for quite some time, so I finally decided that I need to do it, and that is I want to show you how to make your Cricut mat last as long as possible. I find that if you do use your Cricut a lot, you can certainly burn through these cutting mats a lot, especially if you have the Explorer, because with the Explorer you're constantly, you almost need to have 4 or 5 mats at the same time to cut your different cardstock and stuff, so you can go through these pretty quickly. So I'm just going to show you what works for me and what I do, and I kind of have an order in how I kind of keep my mats like sticky, and I'll just tell you what works for me. So the first thing is, like with this mat, is at the point where it's got a little bit of stick left, but if I were to put cardstock on here and do some like any kind of intricate cutting, it wouldn't work. Like it would the paper would move around and stuff. So what I want to tell you is, when I first start using my mats, obviously they're quite sticky, so I use them that way as long as I can until I notice that I'm not able to cut in particular like really intricate designs. So the first thing I do when I have a mat and I start to notice that it starts to get less sticky, the first thing I do is I use our acrylic spray. So this acrylic spray from Close to My Heart is basically used to clean your stamps. So what I do is I will spray it all over here, and then if you notice, like there's little spots here like this, there's a little bit of paper like stuck in there. So what I'll do is I'll spray it on, and then I kind of just use my fingers and I will go over it, and then that stuff will come up. Like any of those like kind of paper pieces, if I just rub them over, will start to come up, and then I just let it dry. If you think about it, there's basically adhesive like in the center of the mat, right? And if you put it under hot water, then you're basically breaking down the adhesive, and if you rinse it under the hot water, you're rinsing away the adhesive. So I try not to rinse it, like especially in the beginning phases, I guess, of using my Cricut mats. I try not to rinse it. So that's what I'll do until that no longer works, and then once that's not really working, I basically move on to 2 different options. So, and that is where you have to get to the point where you actually remove the adhesive from the mats, because what is left behind is not really like basically effective. So there's 2 options you have. One of them is I have this stuff, I think it's from Crafters, I forget the name of this. It says CC, I think it's Crafters, I can't remember the name of it. If I figure it out, I'll leave it in the description box below. I'll look it up and I'll see what it is, but it's CC International, but I forget what the CC stands for. Anyways, this is called Stick Away. So what this does is it actually removes any sticky residue from any of your projects. So what you need to do is I will take masking tape and I will put it around all the edges of the mat, and then so that, because I only want the spray to get on where the adhesive is. And because if you don't do that, you could get it on the sides of your mat, and that's where the rollers are for the Cricut, and you can actually get it in your rollers and stuff. So you have to be very careful with this. So just make sure you put masking tape around the whole edge, and then I spray this, and it says you have to wait for 30 minutes, and then you wipe it away, and all the adhesive will come off. Like it'll just be gone. So you have basically a mat that has absolutely no adhesive on it. And sometimes you have to do this a couple of times depending on how effective it is at taking away the adhesive. So once you do that, then you again leave the masking tape around the edges, and then you have what they call the stick and spray. So you just put an even spray over top of your mat, and then that is basically new adhesive that you're laying down on the mat. And again, you wait 30 minutes for it to set, and then you could put on your topping sheet and then use it again as a mat. And again, you can just keep using it until it doesn't get sticky, and then sometimes I'll try my spray again and see if I can do that, or you have to get to a point where you take away the adhesive again. So the other option you have for putting adhesive back on your mat is we have this Bonding Memories, Close to My Heart is Bonding Memories broad chip I think there's this, you can also get this at Michael's, so it's called two-way glue or something. So it's like, you know, it's got a broad tip on it and it's blue, but then it dries clear. So the way our adhesive works is once you take away the adhesive, instead of using the spray, you can then use your broad tip and you just literally put down rows of the adhesive all over the mat in your adhesive kind of square. And again, you let it set for about half an hour before you go to put your topping sheet on it. So that's another way to put adhesive. So it just creates a thin layer, and then that'll work for a while as well. And I mean, you will get to the point where after you do that several times, where you take away the adhesive and then you keep rematting it, sometimes your mats start to curl up a little bit, I find. And I mean, you will get to the point where you have to actually throw them away, but this is the best way I've found to make them last as long as possible. Now, the other thing, I guess the last thing I want to mention is there are times where I might not have time to like take the adhesive, stick away, and actually remove the adhesive, put the adhesive back on. I might not have time to do that. So my very last tip that I have, and it's kind of my lazy tip, is you can use washi tape. So if you have a mat that doesn't stick, or you're doing something that, you know, or it's not going to stick, you just put your cardstock on your mat, and then you use your washi tape, and I put it in all four corners. Sometimes if I'm doing a more intricate, detailed cut, I will also put it on each of the middle of the sides, and that basically holds your cardstock onto the mat, and then you can cut it. And I've done that so many times and it works. It works as long as you're not doing something really intricate. If you're doing a really intricate cut, I find you need your mat to be almost like a new mat, where it's as sticky as possible so that your cardstock stays on and it doesn't move. But generally speaking, I cut a lot of frames or card bases or whatever, and the washi tape works like totally fine. So that is all of my tips for what I have and what I actually do to prolong the use of my Cricut mats. So I really hope that you found that helpful and that you have some tips that you can pick up from this video. And thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting. Thanks. Bye-bye.